for a own studio, for a own production company. So maybe I'm not able to do anything, we are able to bring in resources to help the industry. And at this point, because we also have a very limited budget, as we would all know, GFC has a total of 40 million for an annual, including projects, including everything else that we have. It's still a challenge. So for us is to spearhead bringing in stakeholders that will help with the resources and the challenges that you have, and we always open those doors for a further engagement over and above the sessions that we would have. It's not after the session, ABSA will be closing doors, but also all other service service and financial planners would have similar products, but the question is which one does cover for the creatives, and ABSA is really leaning more towards supporting the creatives industries, hence we felt that it's best that we have it with ABSA. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, that's a good one there. Actually, if I may add, can I add to that?
Sure, please can.
So the other good thing is people tend to think that because we ABSA, we're a bank, we only do banking facilities and we're just in malls, but we actually a group, and we're quite a diversified group. We've got all sorts of services that are related to financial services. Like my division where I come from ABSA in financial advisors, investments and financial advisors, for instance, called AIFA, and together with the rest of our colleagues on the banking side, we work together to make sure that we deliver this in the services for you. And for instance, I'll tell you what, a will, just to do a simple will, if you've got assets that are 500,000 rand or more, we do a will for free for all our clients. In fact, you don't even need to be our client, an ABSA banking client. Maybe that will be your foot into the door into ABSA. We can do a will for you, and then we can start that conversation from there going forward. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any other questions? 500,000. Free will. Haibo. Thank you so much. We will go back to our online colleague. Mr. Colin, are you ready? He is speaking somewhere.
He is speaking, but somehow can't get to hear the voice.
Please hold on for us, Colin.
Let's try this one. Can you try to speak, Colin?
We can do something. We can bring them. But it's somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, we've got filmmakers here. Move, guys. Let's make this thing work.
So that the applicant get it right. You will let me know once the audio is fine. So I'm from SEPA, the Small Enterprise Development and Finance Agency, and it is an agency of the Department of Small Business. Finished on the 1st of October 2024. And that was a merger between SEPA, the Small Enterprise Finance Agency,
Sorry, Colin.
as well as the CPDA, which is the Cooperatives Bank Development Agency. Am I good to go?
Sorry.
Is it better?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Lentally, a project thing and the Wi-Fi or in your HDMI because we're supposed to change the sound to
Is
something.
this the computer?
Yeah, this is apparently they say this is a computer.
Are you sure? Get in here. This is the one. And then do this. Wonder what are we trying to do?
Oh, we're switch off the power. See, we need to change that thing. So I want to know if this one is connected to what.
It's actually time to connect. Just need this one again. Colin, can you say something? You have to do. Colin, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You may proceed.
Can I proceed? Thank you. I'm going to try and just go through the presentation. I know it's quite a long presentation. I'm going to skip some of what I have in the presentation and really focus on our financial assistance, or what we call business development services, as well as our financial assistance, which is part of our lending. So SETA's vision is empowering South Africa's small enterprises for inclusive growth, transformation and sustainable employment. I'll get to the mission and the values later on. Speaking on our strategic pillars, if one looks at our core business, we've got basically 4 different pillars with an enabler that we are built upon, where the first pillar is to promote and coordinate the small enterprise ecosystem. Now, what we are saying is that according to the Small Business Act of 2024, SETFA needs to facilitate the ecosystem, and that means that we need to bring players such as our commercial banks, other business development service providers, etc., together so that we can assist entrepreneurs and SMEs or SMEs wherever they are at. We also do facilitate access to business development support, and that is where we look at our non-financial assistance. We do facilitation to access to small enterprise finance, where we look at lending, and part of our lending would be blended finance, where we look at a portion of the loan would be a grant. Otherwise, we look at 100% grants through the BDS or business development services. We also then have to accelerate sustainable growth, innovation, and competitiveness. And how do we do that is really looking at how do we get businesses to be sustainable? How can we assist them to create jobs within the economy? Because the National Development Plan 2030 speaks about 11 million jobs that need to be created, and 90% of those jobs would then be coming from small businesses. So in a nutshell, we're looking at pre-investment, investment, as well as post-investment. And we also then have our incubators, our digital hubs, and our accelerators. Currently in the country, we've got about 121 incubators in different sectors of the economy. And part of those incubators would be our digital hubs, which is specifically placed within townships so that we can look at access to technology and innovation within the townships of South Africa. And then from a financial perspective, we then look at the developmental aspect as well as the commercial aspect. And then as part of our enabler, we want to build a future fit and sustainable development and finance agency within the country. Just to look at the mission, which is to promote and coordinate South Africa's small enterprise development ecosystem, facilitate access to financial and non-financial support, as well as develop cooperative banking institutions and strengthen the capacity of intermediaries to provide quality support to small enterprises. So our cooperative banking institutions, organizations such as NAHAO, the union,
they, they own a CBI or a cooperative banking institution. The community, Oranje, that we all speak about in the Northern Cape, they own a cooperative banking institution. And I think between the two, they're sitting with assets of just almost R1 billion, making sure that they are looking after their communities, and the union having, the capacity to on-lend to its members. I want to speak about the general characteristics of our MSME sector in South Africa, where we look at entrepreneurship and the economy in South Africa, where we're saying that South Africa's official unemployment rate is sitting at 34.9%. Our rate of unemployment among youth aged 15 to 24 is at 64.4%. So we've got a big issue with employing young people in South Africa. And I guess we've seen this a couple of years ago when, those specific things broke out within KZN and Gauteng, and people were just fed up because people are looking for jobs, but there's not enough those jobs within the economy. Our annual percentage of new entrants who will not find employment is sitting at 60%. So 60% of people that's entering the job market will not find meaningful employment. Our established business ownership rate has increased to 3.5%, but it's still far below the average for the overall African region and for developing countries in Latin America. So our entrepreneurial activity has almost doubled from 7.5% to 14.3%, but that's in the age group of 45 to 54. And that means it's still not young people. We want to see more young people coming into entrepreneurship and MSME development so that they can create opportunities for jobs for young people within the ecosystem. Then people's fear of failure in entrepreneurship is quite high, and it increased to 49.8%. So almost 50% of people surveyed said that they were afraid to start a business. And I guess it's because of red tape in South Africa with starting a business. I mean, from a CIPC or the Commission of Intellectual Properties and Companies, they've made it quite easy. So it's 175 rand to register a business, and it takes a day to two to get your documentation. But it is once that's done, and you need assistance now to access finance and access business development services, that takes a toll on people that wants to start businesses. And that is why it is important that organizations such as SETFA comes into the market and assist entrepreneurs wherever they are at. Our ease of doing business ranking for South Africa compared to higher ranking African economies, we are 84th out of 190 countries. And it's quite, it's sad because there was a couple of years ago, financial management, access to funding, red tape that I spoke about, turnaround times, because as a development finance institution, we know that people might need financing now, and sometimes deals take up to 6 months before you can get an approval on it, and up to 12 months before funding is paid out. And we are currently working on how do we make sure that we look at our turnaround times so that product development, based compliance, complying with SARS, with Department of Labor, whether it's UIF, etc. Assist entrepreneurs and SMEs and this is where a client would come and they would reach out to us. We would have a conversation. We would invite them to what we would call an information session. During that information session, we would give you information on how do you run a business, what would be some of the things that and pitfalls that you need to look at, and how do we assist you then in terms of running a sustainable business. When we start assisting you, that is where we will assign a business advisor to you. The business advisor will then use some of our tools that we have within the organization. 2 specific tools that I would like to mention is our assessment of company operations, just to see if it's an existing business or if it's a new business, where the business is at currently. as well as our critical planning exercise, or that's a financial tool where business advisors would then look at what your finances look like. And then after that, now you've got a business advisor, the business advisor has done assessments, we've assisted you now with some of the interventions, and all of the interventions that we do within the business development services would be 100% funded by SETFA. To pay for it, whether you need a business plan, whether you need marketing material, whether you need services such as HACCP, which is within the food industry, etc. You need to do testing within laboratories. We would pay for that. And then once we've started building the business, we look at growth. And it's in that build and growth phase that we would actually then bring our lending on board. And this is where we would do our loans, which have a portion of a grant, as I've spoken about blended finance. We've got full grants, but specifically on the business development side. And then we also have, some of our interventions for youth entrepreneurs, so that we really look at the entire spectrum. We have some of our interventions that is for people with disabilities. We've got interventions that's specifically for female entrepreneurs, etc. So there would be something for an entrepreneur wherever they are at in their entrepreneurial journey and life cycle. So some of the programs that we run is our coaching program, which is a 10-month program. And here we're really looking at the jockey within the business, the person that's running that business. We want to make sure that you are someone that will be able to run that business, and you are able to also look at your family and other aspects of your life. So we look at the jockey. We're running our Empretech program, which is a United Nations program, and SETFA is the implementer of Empretech within South Africa. We've got our manufacturing supplier program, as well as our small enterprise manufacturing supplier financing, where we look at financing manufacturing businesses within the country. We've got our export development program, where we do trade facilitation. If you've got a product, I'll take the food and wine show that happens in Dubai annually. We normally take between 10 and 20 of our entrepreneurs to Dubai to participate within the food and wine show. We would then cover flights, accommodation. If you've got any product that needs to go over, we will cover that cost as well. We normally take some of our fashion designers, that's part of SETFA, to the Torino Fashion Week, the Milan Fashion Week, and etc. We've got people that is, doing different things within the economy in different sectors. And if there's specific trades program, which is a program for female-owned enterprises with export-related activities and business development services. With financial cleanup, and we will pay that service provider. So 100%. So 100% of the cost. The intervention is then implemented. We sign off on completion. Once you are you happy with the service that you had been that you received, and then we facilitate improvement assessments, and then we write a success story. Many of you would know Portia M. Portia M started with SETFA when it was called Cedar, basically on a 2-plate stove, and today she runs a 300-400 million rand business, employing almost 300 people, owning 2 factories, etc. So it shows that she had that business. Our digital hubs, I explained that it is within the townships and rural areas. And what is a digital hub for us? It is a cluster of technology, digital media, and tech startups and digital hubs then aim to foster an atmosphere of creativity and support aimed at developing technology solutions across all 9 verticals of the or tech verticals, for our tech verticals, which is big data and analytics, autonomous robots, simulation, horizontal and vertical system integration, the IoT, cybersecurity, cloud, additive manufacturing, as well as augmented reality. I'm going to skip some of this. We also do quality and standards, where our key focus is on management systems, product testing, as well as product design. And what is the rationale around this? It is to promote more competitive enterprises and safe products. So we do this through the South African Bureau of Standards, and again, it's 100% funded by SETFA. We also do product testing and certification. I spoke about this. We also assist with product and packaging designs, as well as productivity and lean manufacturing. We will really look at waste. We look at how we can improve, your operation if you run a factory, so that you've got minimal waste and that you don't do overproduction. You look at your defects, etc. And that's why labeling is so important as well for us, and we assist with that as well. We assist with IP or intellectual property matching and training. I spoke about the technology transfer, which is a 1.2 million rand grant. We do pitching and master classes, so you can just watch out on our social media platforms. We normally would put on there when our pitching starts. From a cooperative development support, I spoke about the CBIs, our cooperative banking institutions, and how that then assists in terms of on lending, because they would then be able to on lend to their clients. So just to give you an idea, we've got 15 CFIs, cooperative finance institutions. In Gauteng, we've got 6 in KwaZulu-Natal, and so the list goes on. So there's 30 currently in the country. I'm going to skip this because I want to get to the lending part, which is our direct lending instrument. So this is SETFA lending directly to customers. We do asset finance or asset-based finance, which basically means that SETFA would assist with purchasing of assets, and those assets should be fully insured by the client to the full value of the asset and ceded to SETFA before the client takes delivery of such assets. So all of this basically goes up to 15 million rand, as our cap value for our lending is 15 million rand. We also do term loans, where the term loan can be used for movable assets or other working capital expenditure, such as labor costs. Unlike asset finance, term loans are used to acquire movable assets that cannot be identified by means of a serial number. We also do bridging loans or purchase order finance, where you need the financing because you've got a purchase order and you need to deliver on that purchase order. We have a revolving facility as well. As you pay the revolving facility, the funding becomes available again, and that is one of those that we have. The eligibility criteria is on our website, so I'm not going to go into the eligibility criteria because you would be able to find it on the website. Then exclusions as well, you will find there. So then in terms of our Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program, or TREP, as I've said, TREP now is up to R1 million towards working capital, cost of equipment, or any other capital expenditure that is paid directly to the supplier where it is applicable. So you would see also the type of businesses that we would look at. It's clothing and textile, bakeries and confectionaries, our chisa nyama and cooked food, our retail, which includes restaurants, car washes, general dealers, etc., our automotive, as well as our personal care and artisans. But in fact, any type of business within the township, except for businesses, this is where we exclude, that is within the sin industry, which is tobacco, alcohol, as well as prostitution. Our Amavulindlela Fund is for people with disabilities, and that is the credit facilities ranging from 50,000 Rand up to 15 million. As I've said, we are looking at preferential variable interest rate, which is at 5% and not prime less 5. So it is at 5%. Then I spoke about our small enterprise manufacturing support program, where you can purchase machinery and equipment. It's also for working capital, as well as for product accreditation, certification, and testing. I'm not going to go through the eligibility criteria. It's there, and if you need to know it, I'm gladly to also share eligibility with you. Then we've got the Youth Challenge Fund, which is for young people. We've got a red channel as well as a blue channel. The red channel looks at technology and innovation, whereas the blue channel is for all other sectors. For startups, we're looking at 2 million rand on both the red channel as well as the blue channel, and you would see that it is blended finance on both, where the red channel is a 40% grant and a 60% loan. So here we give preference to technology and innovation businesses, and on the blue channel, which is all other sectors, you'll get a 30% grant and a 70% loan. On existing businesses that's in the growth phase, it's a 15 million rand loan, which is a blended finance, and it's 20% grant and 80% loan. I think that is how it is. So you would see that on the red channel for a startup, 40% grant, 60% loan, 30% grant, 70% loan on the blue channel, and then on growth businesses, 15 million rand max, and it's a 20% grant on both and 80% loan. We no longer run the Tourism Equity Fund. So the funding template was done in such a way, if you go onto our website and you want to apply for funding, you don't need to submit a business plan. The funding template online was developed in such a way that it would actually, when we print it out, it would read as a business plan. The one thing that would be very important would be your financial modeling, and there one of our business advisors would also be able to assist you. Then we also have wholesale lending, and this is where we have the Cooler Credit Guarantee Scheme, ABSA as well as FNB, big uptakers of the Cooler Credit Guarantee Scheme. This is where if you do not have collateral to offer the bank and you want a bank loan, you are able then to qualify and ask them for the Cooler Credit Guarantee. That's an 80% guarantee, and then they will make up, some other things where you would have 100% collateral or more to offer the bank. Sometimes they would register notarial bonds on movable assets, etc., so that you are able then to get a banking loan. We also have a supplier credit program through KCG. There's agricultural finance that we do through both ABSA and FNB. We do structured finance solutions, equity investments, as well as joint ventures and funds. These are some of our wholesale finance intermediaries. This means these guys normally would apply to SETFA for wholesale lending. That would be 200 million, 300 million, 500 million, and they would on-lend to small businesses. You will see that Tedfin is there, Itala Bank is there, and so there's others as well. In Gauteng, there's quite a number of them. You would see the banks are there, but in most instances, the bank will take up the cooler. So we also have a property portfolio. We lease it out to businesses that would want to have space that they can operate from. These are some of our properties. I'm not going to go into it because we are remodeling and reworking the properties, so it would not help me to really run through that. I think if I can just quote from Dr. Sem Mutshwenyanev, the lead founder of African Bank, that said that we all depend on others for our livelihoods. I have throughout my entire life been assisted so many times by other people, including people who did not even know me. So with that, I would like to say we are there to assist, and therefore never feel a certain way if you need assistance, because that is what we do as an agency. With that, that is my presentation. Thank you so much, and I will open it up for questions.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you. I think you are fully aware that this masterclass is for the creative industries, particularly for the ones that are in audiovisual. So I'll open up the questions to them, but I think there's a lot of interests that I've also highlighted where you are assisting with funding on equipment, on infrastructure, on the grants and loans. And maybe from myself, how many times can one production company apply? Can I apply for a loan and a grant in one financial year?
So basically, if you apply, then the loan would then be blended finance, meaning that there would be a grant portion to it,
Okay.
right? On the BDS side, if you want to first, because I always say to entrepreneurs, first try on the grant side before you go to the loan side. The grant side is basically where the BDS would then administer that, or our business development services team. Now there we've assisted, and I know about 3 or 4 companies that's in the audiovisual space that we assisted with equipment, both through our technology transfer systems, which is a 1.2 million rand grant, it's a 100% grant, as well as through our Asset Assist program, which I've not really touched on that much. Asset Assist is a 250,000 rand grant, and they can apply for that too. Then even if the business is registered as a cooperative, which obviously with a cooperative, you need to have members, and we will actually assist you with that registration of the cooperative. I know we've assisted clients within the audiovisual space through the cooperative development support program as well, and that is up to 5 million rand, and that's also 100% wholly funded grant. So there's definitely opportunities from a grant perspective. And then on a loan perspective,